promotion. Let's look at that now. We'll talk about the benefits of it, sports promotion. We all hear sports promotion, sports promotion. What's it all about? What's the benefits of it?
Thank you, moderator, and our esteemed listeners. We want to look at sports promotion, which is a hallmark of sports. And it's very, very important to promote sports. But it has a lot of contextual dimension when you look at it from this our climb. People see sports only something that is left alone for government. But people don't know there are a lot of things you can benefit, you can gain from sports. And that's why we need to promote sports. It's important to look at how it has been going in Abia State in particular. The governor of Abia State, Dr. Kezi Bazo, is a sports-loving governor. And he has done a lot to promote sports. If you look at since his administration, you find that he has done a lot, like Enyimba Stadium that was a little bit, was not up to date. It was moribund. He came up and spent a lot of money to refurbish it and bring it to an international standard where any sporting event can take place. Even looking at, this is the only state in the whole federation that is sponsoring about more than 3 teams in the National League.
Yes.
We have Abia Warriors, we have Abia Comet, we have Enyimba. That's the main team.
And of course, Abia Angels.
Abia Angels. So these are all teams that are participating in the National League. It's not a mean feat. That is part of promotion. And even you go in by the other sporting activities, not only soccer or football that is only sports. We have athletics. I remember last year he approved and he brought in a Chioma Ajunwa Foundation, which I was part of the organizer. We were able to organize what they call, athletic competition among the secondary schools in Abia. It was a wonderful outing, bringing out the young talents from different secondary schools in Abia. They came up in Omaya and participated in different athletic sporting events, both athletics, jumping. A lot of things happened, and the schools that won were given prizes. This is a part of encouragement. It's happening in Abia State. Even this week, you heard about the dart competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first of its kind. It took place in Abia. These are promotions and trying to encourage young ones.
Yeah, the sports crew here from Fluke did cover that event, that particular event.
It was a wonderful outing. Like I'm saying here, the governor is doing so well. Because when you encourage, when you promote sports, there are a lot of things, gains and benefits. Because a young person, a young child, when you are growing up, you can develop mentally and spiritually more or less in sporting activities, because when sports, and also like there are a lot of children, that come from a very lowly or poor background, they are not that privileged, but when they engage in sports, they can now excel and then find their bearing in life. You see, we have had a lot of stories about people who made it out of sports, even in this our part of the world. Kan Wankwas, the Okochas, Jejo Okocha them, Austin Okocha, Amokachi them. Even in other athletic events, I could remember when I was growing up, when we were in primary school, when you have an exercise book, you will see a drawing on that exercise book. That person that you witnessed there or you are seeing there was Major Ifajuna. Ifajuna was in the military, he was in the army, but he was the first man to win a gold medal for Nigeria in any international meet, in any sporting activity in the world. He was in the Commonwealth Games in Vancouver, Canada in 1954. He won that gold medal and he lifted him up even in the military. And we have been seeing it, even Chioma Ajunwa, the one that the governor approved, who came and organized that athletic competition in Abia. Chioma Ajunwa is a policewoman, but when she now went and participated in sports, at the point, Chioma became, was the first person to win a gold medal for Nigeria in Olympic championship.
Yeah.
And that even lifted her up. Today, as I'm speaking, Chioma is an assistant police commissioner.
Okay.
And she's in charge of trafficking, human trafficking in the South. So, but wherever you see Chioma, she's a public figure. Everybody wants to receive her because she's doing well in sport. So what I'm saying in promotion of sport is that all and sundry, everybody must participate. It should not be left alone for government. In fact, even the corporate bodies, the private sector, they should come and encourage sports, both in Africa, in Abia State and in Nigeria in general. If you think you have a company, you have a multinational company, you have Glows, all these people in the media industry and those people who are involved in serious business, they should bring out part of their money to encourage and promote sports. You can see Coca-Cola all over the world. You can see Begadog, all these
the big brands.
Big brands, they're all promoting sports. Is important because it's going to encourage our young ones. That's what I'll tell you. Thank you.
Okay, still staying with the benefits of sports promotion. Okay. Adebayo's got one for you.
Okay.
I think it's a nice one. Of course, we know that sport promotion is it's something very nice to do. But I also want to come this way.
Okay.
We've been clamoring as sport writers and journalists and what have you. We've been really looking forward to that point in time where our government, I think, can hands off owning clubs.
Okay.
Because if you look at the Premier League is on TV. Look at the beauties that come with it, and because individuals and corporate organizations really invest in these things. Do you think, or don't you think, our government's trying to hands off these clubs and spend on something else that benefits the average man directly? Why? Also, these average persons or these individuals, it would spill a lot of money. There's money in sports. Yes. Don't you think it would be a way forward?
A very good one. You're making a good point. But what I want to look at, we look at it holistically. You find that it's important, like in Nigeria, for instance. I know it's important for corporate bodies. I've said it, multinationals, those business moguls to come and get involved in sports. Like you said, it's for the first and foremost, we must have to address our minds. It's a part of orientation. We educate ourselves for us to know that sporting events or sports is a money spinning venture. All over the world, like you said, in the Premier League, people are involved in that sporting event. And most people, you see businessmen, rich men getting involved, investing in sports. And they reap back, they get their dividends back. Because if you go to London or you go to Italy or Spain or Germany, a lot of big companies are involved, big men involved in it. But here, we need to we are growing up. Most of our businessmen here, our rich men, they get scared when they invest their money into sports. Are they going to reap their money back? For us too, we should equally know, we the participants, even those spectators, those who go to the stadium to watch matches, find out, go to Omaya Stadium any day that Abia Warrior is playing. How many fans do you see there? How many spectators do you see there? So it's for us to know that this thing is a business. The white man, in this part of the world, we're all concerned with how we make money, how we go and drink beer and take in Kobe and live life. But the white man has a different way he has his leisure. There's something
sports is like religion.
Yes, religion in the Western world.
So to say in the
because
Western world.
You see a rich man, even a woman or a man in America or in London, he wants a pastime. Where will I go to, to relieve myself, to feel fine? So even every day, they will go out and buy a ticket for a match. You see them in London, all these Premier Leagues. A woman, maybe a banker, a lawyer, a medical doctor goes to buy a ticket, looking forward to go and watch a match because she feels that's where she gets her entertainment. We need to do this in Nigeria for people to know that we have a pastime, not to go to a drinking parlor to go and drink beer. So that when these businessmen you're thinking about to come and invest in sports here, they will now be assured that their money, they can be able to make their money. So it's a two-way thing or business. But then the government could equally get involved because there are standards. You need to regulate. There are regulations in sports. So when the government hands off entirely, they might mess up the whole system. The government will be part of it, but we're encouraging the businessmen, the corporate bodies, the private sector should come and get involved in sports because sports does a lot. Because let me tell you, these are young people you see moving around the street, getting involved in wholesome activities like crimes and other, things that they get involved. When they are seriously engaged in sports and they know that when they engage in sport, they're going to make money, they're going to have a good livelihood, they will get out of the sport. So that people should get involved and invest in sports. That's what I tell you.
Okay, we've already drifted into the challenges.
Okay.
Let's continue with that, Barrister.
Okay.
Obviously, positive and negative effects.
Okay.
Let's look at the effects.
Okay.
The effects of sports promotion here.
Okay.
We'll start with parents. How enlightened are they? What's the willingness for parents to allow their words?
Okay.
Let's say a football academy that it's open now. What's the willingness? Would you allow your child to go to a football academy, or you'd rather your child goes to school, you understand, pass on into the tertiary institution? So let's start with that.
Yeah, that's the challenges. We have a lot of challenges. One is, like I said, is our mindset, our orientation and our, the way our thinking, how we think in this part of the world. Then secondly is, sporting facilities. But let's look at the first one, our mindset. How do we look at sports? In the past, our culture. People always see it here as if when you are involved in sport, they are playing football, you're playing basketball, or your parents will not see you as a wayward child, or maybe you're not doing well. As only when they see you, either like in Igbo land, it's either you are going to learn trade in the market, in Ariari or in Onisha main market, you're trading and making money for them. They now know that you're a responsible child. Or when you go, you're in this university or you're in the school system, you're getting acquiring some knowledge, educationally. They now see that you're doing well. But I know that sports can lift up a child. Sports can do. We have a lot of historically, we have a lot of people who have done it wonderfully well in sport. Let me tell you, sport can even make you to get involved and meet big people in life. There was a story I had. Pele, when Pele was playing football, Pele was one of the most celebrated footballers in the whole world. The Pele went to Britain, he went to London to meet, when he traveled to London, and he was about to meet the Queen of England. People, Queen of the throne, that royal throne in England is not something when you meet a queen. There's culture, there's protocol that you use to meet a queen. They even brought Pele and was educating Pele about how he was going to meet the Queen of England, and telling him that when you meet the Queen, you should not stretch your hand first until the Queen stretches her hand.
And Pele wished he had played in Europe.
Yes, but when finally he met with the Queen of England, the Queen threw away that protocol to the winds. The Queen even came and embraced Pele and hugged Pele.
Because of who Pele was?
Pele was, because he played football. I have a brother here and a good friend, and one of his lawyers. This from Abia State here, Ultimate Commander. You know him, Ofo.
Okay.
This guy is a wrestler. He's the African wrestling champion in the whole of Africa. Heavyweight wrestling champion, even the Commonwealth. He's the heavyweight Commonwealth wrestling champion. When he won that African heavyweight in South Africa, the South African president came out and hugged him. In fact, when he came back here, I think I traveled with him to Abuja to see our Minister for Communication and then Professor Mrs. Dora Akunyere. So Dora Akunyere even told me how she now gave that man award as the ambassador of NAFDAC, in the whole of Africa, because of he performed so wonderfully well in that sporting event. So I can tell you there's a lot of benefits in sport. So we need to tell our people, there should be a rediscovery or paradigm shift. We should know that people can make it in sport, both women and both male and female. When we were in the old Imo State, you can remember the handball team we had then, the grasshoppers. These ladies, who were playing handball then, were able to travel all over Africa.
And they were formidable.
Europe. They were formidable. These ladies were going all over Africa, traveling to parts of the country they cannot even afford to do if they were not playing in sports. Are you hearing me?
Okay, let's look at fears now from the parents' perspective.
Okay.
I'm sending my word out there to say an academy.
Okay.
I'm sending my word to play some of these games, handball, badminton, judo. What about injuries, fears of injuries, not even the enlightenment now coming into it? What about injuries setting in?
We are in the modern world, and there have been a lot of improvements. How to guide and protect one when you're playing sports, whether football or even wrestling or even boxing. There are a lot of ways you can protect yourself. But the important thing is that I think the gains outweighs the whatever is the danger involved. But one thing I want to say is that somebody can combine sports with education. I think that used to be the primary fear of the parents. When their children are involved in sporting activities, they will now lose sight. They will not be able to focus in the education. But I give an example. Do you know that Oparaji, the Nigerian footballer who died on a sporting field of play, playing for Cup of Nations then for Nigeria, was doing his PhD in international law in Germany. He has already gotten his master's degree in international law, and he was still playing. You can combine sports. There's nothing that's going to happen to you. God knows how to protect his children. When you're playing in the field of play, we are in the modern world. There's a way that people are protected and guided against all these injuries. Okay. So what I'm saying that parents should now encourage their children. Like you talked about the sporting academy. If you go to sporting academy, there are a lot of things you study there, even in their curriculum. There are educational curriculum. There are other things you learn when you are in sporting, because like I said, sports develop. The primary thing that being involved in sports will develop you mentally, spiritually, physically as a child, as you're growing up. That's what I'll tell you.
Okay, let's look at two now in government and private now. Okay. You think they need to come in more in terms of infrastructure to refurbish, just like the governor did at the Aimba International Stadium. Yes. Some of the sports facilities, sports complexes that are used for indoor games, some outdoor games, they need to refurbish it and just do some renovation on it to encourage people more. Because when it's beautiful, it's cool and nice there, but when it's looking dilapidated there, it could even discourage the performance of some of these young athletes or sportsmen.
Exactly. Like I mentioned earlier on, Abinishu, our governor is doing wonderfully well, Dr. Kezi Bazo. Recently, I got an information, and I know that information is true, because he's partnering with the Hungarian government, and they are coming up any moment from now. They have sent some people who came to inspect we call it the Sulu Gens village.
Okay.
Because the governor is interested, and the government of Abia State, to go and refurbish that in Sulu Gens village. Anybody living in Abia could recollect, even when we were in Old Imo State, we had that in Sulu Gens village. That's a training ground for sporting men and women, athletes. Because if you go there, then we had facilities both for field athletics and then for footballing, for handballing, for basketballing. You see a lot of facilities in that games village, but now it's moribund. They have gone obsolete. So the governor is now trying, because money is involved in athletics and in sporting events. You spend a lot of money. So like I mentioned, they are partnering. The government of Hungary is doing something with Abia State. In fact, there's a need. They say, because there's a lot of benefits, like you said. The Hungarian government tries to give even scholarship. When they get involved now, the men and women that were involved in the sporting activities in Nigeria, in Abia State, they will now give them a chance to travel to Hungary to go and learn a new improvement in that sporting way.
Okay,
so,
quickly,
like
let me cut you.
Let me end up.
Okay,
in Omaya Stadium, there's even plans now to refurbish Omaya Stadium. If you go there, those facilities, if you enter that in the stadium, we have the indoor places, sporting complex where you see some indoor facilities like handball, basketball, badminton. All these things need to be improved. We are living in the modern world, in the 21st century. A lot of things, technology era. A lot of things have been improved all over the world. So those facilities need to be improved. Like, let me end up. You find out that, like you said, money is involved in sports. So those private sector, those companies in Abia, those companies in Nigeria, Guinness, Nigerian breweries, Gold, and what do you call them? These MTN, all those
top brands.
Those top brands.
And even the brands that are lower than the top brands.
If you come and sponsor sports, when you sponsor sports, you will now be able to make some, you have some recognition, and you have a lot of things you gain too, because when people are involved in sports and you're encouraging sports, the young people will want to even patronize your goods. Do you understand my point? Because when you see you're a young growing person, you find out that Glow is sponsoring what you're benefiting. You can buy more Glow. You can buy more MTN. You can buy more Mortina. You know about Mortina, this thing brand.
Yes.
When you are involved in sports, that is an area the young people, because when you encourage the young people, the future leaders, they will participate and be happy with you. That's what I'll tell you.
Okay, looking at the facilities and some of the places you've been to put your eyes on them, what about disability?
Okay.
Are there facilities for disability, those with disability?
Very important. I love you for this recognizing the less privileged, the disabled persons in our society is important, because these are people that have lost hope. They think they don't have hope in life, and they are still living. And you want to show them, give them that chance that they can still live a meaningful life.
Yeah.
So, like in Abia State, do you know that we have if you go to the stadium, we have a section where the disabled persons they train. And but I went there the other day because when I was commissioner in this state, I was the patron of the disabled persons in Abia. So they love me and they like dealing with me. So the other day I even went to that stadium. I went because there's under that terrace, that pavilion,
yeah,
underground, you see a lot of gymnasium, all these gyms, because most of them are involved in gym. Like even in the past, Abia State won gold medal both in Olympics, in this Paralympics. They won a lot of medals, those disabled persons, both in the National Sports Festival. They have been doing so wonderful well. So if you go there, you still see their facilities that they are using to train. They are no longer as very good as it used to be. So there's need to improve on them.
Needs changes.
Yeah, because whenever Abia State goes for this National Sports Festival, I've told you, even in Olympics, like Abia State have produced the best para-Olympians, even these disabled persons. They have always won medals for Abia State. So there's need for us to encourage them and make them be happy and let them be able to procure more facilities for them to train. Because if you go to any sporting event like Olympics, African athletics, or all these sporting events, even National Sports Festival, you find out that what is required, that how many medals are you going to win at the end of the competition. So you look for those areas of you have advantage. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Even those disabled persons that you have advantage, you encourage them. You bring more facilities to encourage them so that they can train well. Because I have told you, I'm giving you the report that Abia State have been doing so well in disabled persons sporting activities.
Yes.
So we need to encourage them, and they'll be more happier that at the end of the day, even that they are disabled, that all life hope is not lost. That they still have a hope, that they are still doing well and living well as human beings. That's what I'll tell you.
Okay, we are looking at football now as the popular sport, the one in demand.
Okay.
Now, coming down to Achilles' heel of other sporting events in Nigeria, we know it's football.
Okay.
So now, to really let the other people have interest in other sports, one of the things to do, like we're talking about promotion, is continuing to promote. And we just recently had the darts championship in Abia State, the first time it's being held here, the darts championship at the Ridge Club in Umwa here.
Yes.
Well, I spoke to a host of persons there from the Commissioner for Sports in Dr. Martin Okoji and Principal Secretary to the Governor in Chief Imam Nwabugu and a host of other dignitaries there. And they echo my sentiments. There needs to be sustenance in the sports here, because that is unerrouted in this part of the world here. But there needs to be sustenance. And they were pointing to the fact that because Abia State did well in a competition that was hosted there and won gold medal, and that spurred for it to be put here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have watched Olympics in the world, and you find out the white man, that's the Western world, most times when they come to that Olympics, you see they participate in different games and in different sporting activities.
But Nigeria, we do not have many games
we
to
just
take there.
restrict ourselves, and maybe we only play football or maybe athletics, like maybe running, like we run in the field of athletics, just few sporting events. And at the end of the day, how many gold medals or medals do we win? So you even see a white man, this shooting, gun, or maybe one other event. There's a lot of events that they get engaged in. So that's why, like I mentioned before, we should see our areas of advantage. Wherever we think we can do well, like that competition, they have now seen that Abia is doing well. That's why they were able to allow it to be organized and hosted in Abia. So we encourage our people, don't stay there and get disillusioned about life or feel that you cannot do any other thing in life. Engage in one sporting activity, you can still excel in life. You can get involved in darting, you can get involved in boxing, you can get involved in football or basketball. You knew about somebody like Olajuwon those days. Akim Olajuwon was a young Nigerian from the I think Yoruba land. So then he was playing basketball. He's a tall man. When you see that your height, you are physically, you have advantage, you have a good height, you get
use it to good effect.
Good effects. So that time Akim Olajuwon, I remember then. See, he was playing basketball and he was doing so well. He was invited in America and he went to America. And he started playing basketball and became a multi-millionaire. He was doing so well in America.
Okay, quickly, Barrister. Okay, let's get to talk to the sports director, the director of sports Abia State in Isaac O. Isaac. Okay. Yeah, he was there live for the coverage of the darts championship. Good afternoon, Isaac.
Good afternoon, my brother.
You're live on Flow 94.9 FM, Sports Trax this weekend.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you.
Okay, and we have Barrister Okay right here in the studio, plus our analyst in Adeze Michael and Adebayo Kings. Well, the darts championship came to a climax yesterday at the Ridge Club in Umuahia, and everyone was excited, though most people do not know about the game of darts there. So we're talking about sports promotion now in the studio. What's your take on that, plus the events that unfolded in the 2 days at Ridge Club?
Well, I want to start by appreciating His Excellency who graciously approved the hosting of that championship in Abia State. It is the first of its kind, and we are happy that it was a national program that came to Abia State. Well, that is an Olympic sport. It's a new sport in maybe this side, because all we know is about football. But we are happy that the government is diversifying. We are doing a lot to make sure that every part of every sports activities will take place in Abia State, and so we are happy about it. Particularly, I am happy that it is happening this time. It has opened another avenue for our people to know that it's not only football, you can also do well in other sports.
Okay, well, looking at the performance of the Abia darts player, were you impressed by them? It looks as if the other man, Amin, just blew them out of water. I'm talking about the woman from Benue who won in the female category.
Well, one thing is important. That lady has been there for a long time. That is part of her.
All right, still talking about sports promotion here, and the situation in which we found ourselves talking about sports development locally in Abia State. Generally, we've had this economic situation where, say, we have absence of industries, factories, and big conglomerates. Apart from the state government, practically pushing and trying to develop sports in the state, what can be done, to encourage individuals, companies to, buy into the ideology of owning sports clubs, sponsoring teams? We've seen the likes of, what's his name, Samuel Chukwueze, who came up from Diamond Football Academy. We've got youngsters who've done well coming out from some of these academies. If persons didn't invest in these academies to start up what we have today, probably wouldn't have had the Samuel Chukwueze. So what can be done to attract, some investors to go into sports sponsoring?
Thank you, T. Sibara. It's a good question, and I think we've been dealing with it when I was talking, when I was discussing it earlier on. I said there is need for corporate bodies, for private individuals to get involved in sports. It's very, very important. But like you said, our people have been playing aloof, nonchalant attitude. Yeah. A lot of them don't want to get involved. But in the past, as a lawyer, I think there have been some legislations laws trying to be passed, to encourage and make even corporate bodies to remit part of their gains or the profit they make. There should be a law that even some of these companies, when you talk about multinational companies, you part of your profit, you should be able to, as a kind of taxation or tax, be able to bring part of it and deposit it for encouraging the young ones, and they should be part of sports development. Like you mentioned, when you are involved in sports, it can equally promote you as an individual. I remember those days, some politicians or those who had ambition of getting involved in politics. I remember, Iwanyanwu. Iwanyanwu is known all over the world, or all over the country, more, not even because of his achievement in business or maybe his achievements as a politician, but because of the club he started, Iwanyanwu National. You remember?
Yeah.
So all those teams that individuals try to start and set up. Most times they encourage them and they even promote them the more. Like when you hear about these football teams, when stationery stores of Lagos, there was like people in Lagos, they worship, they would do anything. Beggar, the Julius Beggar then was a brand name. Even Beggar being a construction firm had that team. The team popularized them in Nigeria and in Africa. So it's part of it that people should get involved. Like even in our state here, the governor has a team. He has a program, a kind of youth form program that they're encouraging those under 30, under 13, under 15, or those under 20. There are younger ones who will not have opportunity to do something. But when you now bring them to an academy, they begin to learn football and begin to have a sense of belonging. And they now know that the future is bright. So we are asking the corporate body or even individuals, if you think you're rich, are you hearing me? Not only spending your money on frivolities, get down your money and set up something to encourage. I was a commissioner. When I was appointed commissioner in 2005, the first thing that came into my mind, I said, a poor boy from a poor background being a commissioner, what do I do to give in return? I set up an educational foundation in my area. Then I gave scholarship to people in the university with the little money that I was getting. And I remember, I'm so happy today, most of them are graduates. I was the other day somewhere, I was, somebody called me on the phone. It was a father to one young man. I gave scholarship then. He's a senior military officer now in 82 division in Enugu. So the father was calling me, telling me that they are preparing to come and thank me. I even told him that my happiness that I was able to touch life. I was able to encourage a young man to now become a graduate. The same way, if you're a rich man, if you have money, if you're a wealthy man, encourage sports. Promote sports. Give your money to young people so that they can play football, they can play basketball. If you see a talent, if it's in footballing or in basketball or handball or even wrestling, you encourage that person so that tomorrow he becomes somebody he will never forget you in life. Not only leaving everything to government. Are you getting my point? Yeah. Leaving everything to government is not government. Who is government? All of us are government. So you contribute your own small measure to make sure that things are moving. So that's what I'll tell you, TC Barra. But I have, like I mentioned, there's need for us to legislate both in the House of Assembly or maybe in the House of Reps. Yes, laws that can equally make corporate bodies, companies. You remit some of your profit. That money you make, a portion should be moved aside and deposited so that these young ones can be encouraged in sporting activities. That's what I'll tell you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Barrister, okay. Discussing exhaustively on sports promotion here on Sports Trax this weekend. Well, right about now, we'll just take a moment, and when we come back, we'll be continuing with the fixtures lined up for us across Europe there. Don't forget, there's been a goal disallowed at St. Mary's. It looks as if Bournemouth equalized there, but it's been disallowed now. Other games continuing at the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium. Atletico Madrid have a lead there. Can they hold on to it to cut the gap to 6 points to Barcelona? There will be